Hello, friends. Welcome back to Honoring the Journey. I'm Leslie Neese, your host. Today, I have a friend that I cannot wait to introduce you to. I actually just met her not too long ago myself when I was a guest on a podcast. We were on Heretic Happy Hour together. I know it's such a tongue-in-cheek name for a podcast. I love it.
It's true.
Lauren Cibene is her name, and she is just, like the wisdom that came out of this young woman was so amazing. I couldn't wait to ask her to be on this podcast and share her journey. And she just came out with a new book that is kind of a memoir, Tiger in a Lifeboat. And it's kind of just talking about her experiences through deconstruction and traveling and all the things that she's learned. And I can't wait for her to share it all with you. Lauren, welcome to Honoring the Journey.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Leslie. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. Good. Well, okay. Where do we even begin? You know what, before we get into your story, which I can't wait to hear, but let me just ask you a quick question that is just to get to know you as a human being. So do you like movies?
Oh, girl, I graduated from film school. I love movies.
So you not only do you love movies, but you actually really love movies.
Yes. I love movies.
Okay. So what is your favorite movie and why? Let's hear.
Oh, that's hard. It changes, like it does adapt. I'll tell you my favorite that I've seen recently.
Okay.
And it's kind of a surprise. It's Monkey Man by Dev Patel.
Really?
Have you seen it?
No. Is it good?
Yes, it's very good. It's Dev Patel's directorial debut, I believe. He may have wrote it as well. He stars in it. So it takes place in India, which is very appropriate for this conversation. And it's just, the story is very rich. I don't want to spoil it all that much, but look it up, Monkey Man. It's very good.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I love to see, and it's recent, like it wasn't that long ago, right?
Yes, in the last few years.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
What's yours? Tell me yours.
Oh God, it's so embarrassing. I can't tell you, Lauren. No, I can tell you.
I
don't care.
This is safe.
Okay. Yeah, we're in a safe space. And plus, maybe my listeners are curious. Yeah, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, I love that. That's such a classic.
It's the best movie. My kids will put it on whenever we're all together just because they enjoy watching me watch it. I just think it's so cute. It's so innocent. They're so stupid. And yet you just got to love them and you just pull for them. And I wish they would have never done the second one. You know what I mean? Because it just really was stupid. But man, what a movie. And it's funny, when I was on Survivor, they ask you, what is your favorite movie? And I thought it was just a question. I didn't realize that when you're voted out, they actually buy you your favorite movie, your favorite candy, your favorite, all these things. And they give you a care package. And so of course I said Dumb and Dumber, but as I got voted off, you watch the movies, your favorite movies, with the people who've also been voted off. And I was Sister Christian. So they thought they were going to have to watch Passion of the Christ or something.
Oh yeah. Fireproof or something.
And they're like, oh my gosh, Leslie's watching Dumb and Dumber. What is this? What is this world that we're living in right now?
That's so great. Yeah. I love that. We quote that. My husband and I quote that movie maybe once a week.
All the time.
It's so quotable.
Yeah, especially when we drove across country from the South to come live here in Utah, me and my girls the whole time. Yeah. John Denver's full of.
We always, if we're listing bad things that are happening, which seems to happen, we always end with our pets' heads are falling off.
Yes.
That's great.
Okay. Well, see, I'm not I don't have my movie is not poignant, but it's fun. And I think it just kind of tells you a little bit about me. But anyway.
I love that.
All right, Miss Lauren, let's hear it. I want to hear your journey from the beginning. I know you were probably raised in a Christian home and you've been through quite a journey. And I don't know, can you remember the first time something didn't really sit right with you? And what did you do with that feeling?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't explored that with anyone yet. So this is fun. Yeah. So, and I know immediately what it was. Really? So, yes, I grew up in a very Christian home. I was home educated by my parents. I'm the oldest of four. And in the summers during my high school years, I would go to this apologetics camp where we would sit, and it was like 30 hours over the course of 5 days of lectures and memorizing. And
To
we
defend
did.
your faith. Yes.
Yep. And on Wednesdays, we would do Witness Wednesday, and we would have to go out into the downtown area. And they postured it like we're witnessing, but really it was engaging people in these very combative conversations where we were trying to gain the upper hand. Anyway, the first time that something was like, I don't feel like this is right, was at one of those camps. And the students were engaged in a debate about the death penalty. And I was the only person that said I was against the death penalty. And in that moment, it was strange. I thought that there would be kind of this swell of support, but nobody stood with me. It was very, very weird. And the other opposing students, who, I mean, they were kids at the time, but they came back and they said, I hope someone in your family gets murdered so that then you have to, like, it was this very, I was all of a sudden on the opposite side of this very combative worldview.
Yeah.
And that was the very first time in my life I remember thinking, I might not fit in here. I might be the problem.
How old were you?
This would have been in 10th grade. So maybe 16, 17, something like that.
Wow. And that just didn't sit right. So what did you do with that? Did you just stuff it down because you weren't supposed to ask questions, or did you say something?
Yeah, I moved on. I thought it was,
as we do.
Yep. I'm like, well, I'm not going to think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, as I continued to grow up, there, of course, are more moments like that where you're just and they accumulate. And then suddenly it's like, wow, I don't know about this.
Yeah. I know exactly the feeling that you're describing. It is. It's like that first time you're like, huh, that's interesting, but I can't think that way. So I'm not going to.
Right.
I, don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to be a heretic, and, I don't want to be a doubting Thomas, although I don't think Jesus had a problem with that, but whatever.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay. So what about, when did you finally just say, okay, I'm going to step away and try to figure out my faith for myself?
Yeah. So it took a long time, much, like, I guess maybe like 10, 12 years after that. No, it would have been 10 years almost. I was 27, and I experienced my first like big girl heartbreak. My first like traumatic event happened in my life, and so much shattered in the wake of that event, which is what I talk about in my book. In my book, I call it the breaking, because it was such a profound and all-encompassing kind of shattering that happened. And in that, there was so much that was broken. It was like, okay, well, why don't we just throw it all on the ground? Let's just throw all of these preconceived kind of assumptions or beliefs or inherited ideologies. Let's just throw it all on the ground and see what can survive, what sticks,
Wow. So what did that look like for you when you started doing, what stuck? Did anything stick, or did it all fly away?
A lot did fly away, but and I'm still kind of going through the process of trying to figure out and sort through the shards of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a long process, and I think that there's maybe like this timeline that we try to impose on any type of hard thing, our grief, anger, like we always try to. Yeah, like there's a timetable and I've got places to be. So let's just make this quick,
Well, and I think too, you spent a lot of time clearly in apologetics situations, being taught how to defend why you believe what you believe, how you can say. So I think that does something to us psychologically, that when we're deconstructing, we think we need to get to the answers and the why and the, that we need to regain a sense of certainty, because it feels kind of like we're just flailing. Like,
right.
That I don't know that ever goes away though, Lauren. Do you?
I honestly don't think so either. There are moments where I'm like, I feel like I've got a handle on this living in the unknown thing,
Look at me go. I'm
comfy. I'm comfy in the gray. But it's like an addiction, that structure and that certainty that we want that so bad. And that's something I'm struggling with now as I'm reconstructing my faith, my spirituality, is that I have to be very aware that my upbringing has given me this addiction to structure and certainty. And I don't
Wow,
want to.
that's so, I mean, that's huge, profound.
Mhm. Yeah.
Addiction to structure and answer.
Yeah. Because it's comfortable to say I know, and it's honestly what it is it's an addiction to control at
Yeah.
the heart of it.
Oh, yeah.
That I want to control what is right and who is in and who's out, and I want to know that I'm on the inside.
Whew. Oh my goodness. I have so many questions right now. So okay, today, let's just say we're in 2025. What does your faith look like now? And especially compared to what it looked like before.
Yeah, my faith right now. I'm a deeply spiritual person. I didn't like shatter everything to walk away completely. I feel honestly more like a deeper spirituality in the wake of what I've experienced. I'm still very much a Jesus person, and I'm getting to know him in a new way now, re-examining the beliefs that I had about him and what he taught and how he viewed women. And one of the most powerful things I've just this last week, I was at the Post Evangelicals National Gathering, and it was such a healing time. The best session, in my opinion, the one that was most impactful for me, was a team of 4 that talked about disgust and how our reaction to disgust on like an individual biological level can be mirrored and seen in like a body of a congregation. So that's how they view like contaminants, and the best takeaway from me from what they said was that if you look at all of Jesus's life and the moments when he was interacting with people that caused and triggered disgust, there's some very deep truths that we can glean from that. I mean, he touched lepers, he dined with prostitutes, he was in the moments when all of his followers were deeply disgusted, he leaned in.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's kind of what you're trying to do is figure out, okay, so the message of Jesus that I was taught may not line up with who I see Jesus as. So I'm going to try to dig around. Can you, what did you used to believe about Jesus that you don't anymore?
Yeah, I think,
I'm sorry, I'm throwing all these, I don't know why, but I just was like, you have such a unique and beautiful perspective that's why I'm like, I'm going to dig until we get there. Cause I just feel like you have something in you that is like ready to, do you know what I mean? That's
yes.
just me. That's my
No,
own
and
opinion.
I love this. I love questions
Yeah.
that make me pause.
Yeah.
Those are the best questions.
Yeah.
And I think if I had to boil it down, the thing that I used to believe about Jesus was that he needed me to defend him. Like I fell for the same lie that is Peter that cuts off the guard's ear, right?
Yeah.
I fell for that same lie that what Jesus needed for me was to defend, to be this aggressive presence, to be, whatever, to cut off the guard's ear. But in that moment when he disarms Peter and he puts the ear back on the guard, he disarmed us all. He told us there's literally no, I mean, if anybody had a right to pick up the sword, it would have been Peter in that moment.
And Jesus told him to put it down.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting and insightful. So you used to feel like you had to defend him. Was there anything else about Jesus that maybe you look at a little different now? I love hearing how people perceive and view their faith after, some time of deconstruction, because my whole hope is that people see we don't all land in the same place, and that's okay.
Yes.
Like that's
Totally.
a beautiful thing. We don't have to be afraid. We don't have to defend. We don't have to go, why don't you see it the way I do? I want to learn from everyone. And so I guess just, what would you say? Is there anything else besides the defense?
Yeah. In addition to that, I think the biggest revelation is like, when I'm looking at the red letters, like, what if he meant this? Like, what if he really meant this? What if it wasn't some like analogy? Like, it's such a novel idea. Like, what if he meant what he said when he's talking about rich people and how rich people getting into heaven, and talking about loving your neighbor and talking about, the ultra religious. Like, what if he meant this stuff?
Yeah. What if he did?
Mm-hmm.
So that
And
changes a lot.
I mean, it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
It changes. Yeah. For me, at least, it changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
now, what about relationships? Now that you're
Mhm.
kind of going the path of deconstruction, how has your shift in beliefs shifted your relationships?
Yeah. This is, yeah, tender because we're
Tender.
not islands. Hmm. Yeah. And so my story is also my husband's story, is also my parents' story, is also my siblings' story. You know, we all touch each other. And of course, as anyone who goes through a type of deconstruction can attest, I think there is going to be pushback, and there's going to be blowback, and there's going to be moments when you think, gosh, I should just maybe tamp this down and just stop talking about this or stop pursuing this type of evolution. It's a deeply painful thing to go through that in your relationships. And I definitely experienced that as well. I'm lucky that my closest relationship, which is with my spouse,
Hmm.
we kind of went through this simultaneously.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes it so nice, right?
yes. And of
Yeah.
course, like you're saying, nobody lands in the same place. Nobody
Mhm.
asks the same question. So of course that was in our relationship as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was so nice to be able to have like my person not be freaked out when I say like, I don't know if I believe that,
Yeah.
there's only one way to heaven or whatever it is, that biblical inerrancy, like, it's nice to just have a safe space.
Yeah, for sure. My husband kind of went through it before me, but then but he never told, like,
Mm,
he just was always very supportive. And I think he wanted, like, he knew that if I was ever going to go through it, it had to be on my own terms. I didn't
mm,
need to feel pressure. He didn't want to be the reason,
yeah.
because he saw how much joy my faith brought to me, but he also saw the fear.
Mm,
And I think when he saw the fear, it was when he knew she's not going to continue going in this direction if something doesn't change. And
right.
so that's interesting. But yeah, having him on my team has been invaluable. And I have such a tender heart towards people who are going through this solo,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
relationship with somebody who's very stuck and very scared, uh,
Mm.
for their spouse. Whew,
Can I
it's
ask,
heartbreaking. Yeah.
I'm interested to know when did you guys first start talking about it? Like when did he finally, broach the topic?
Well, it's funny. He didn't. He didn't. He just kind of pulled away and, internally, but he would always show up for me. So he would go to church. He would do the thing. He would never ever tell me that he was having these doubts because he knew it would scare me.
Mm,
And so when I started deconstructing, probably I would say 7 or 8 years ago, I don't know. It was 2016, obviously, where I was like, "Oh, I don't know if," and I started questioning the why are we supporting this person, and I was told I something was wrong with me for not
right.
seeing how clear it is that he is God's chosen person to
Hmm.
represent, America, and I thought I had a thought like, well, if that clearly that's not true.
Hmm.
So if that's the case, what else are they teaching me? Um, and so I started asking questions, but I didn't say anything to him because I didn't want him to worry about me because I didn't know what he was going through.
Right.
We just kind of like went through the motions for a while, and then finally I said something, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been there for a while."
Aw.
And he goes, "But I would never." He goes, "You're not somebody who learns by somebody going, 'You're stupid. I can't believe
Mm,
you believe that. Can't you see?'" He's like, "That's just
hmm.
not who you are. You needed to experience it yourself." And that taught me so much about how I'm to treat other people now.
Wow.
Not to be angry, not to be like, "Oh my gosh, how do you even see it that way, you stupid idiot?" We're
Mm,
always like, if you don't see it the way I see it, you're stupid. And
hmm.
everybody feels that way, but it's like, what does that accomplish?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Totally.
So, I don't know, does that
Hmm.
answer your question?
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I actually, do you know who Britt Barron is? Do you know that name?
I don't think so.
Britt Barron, she is a comedian. She wrote a book called "Do You Still Talk to Grandma," which is like next on my list. I'm very excited about it. But
Nice.
from what I understand from hearing her speak, that's kind of her thing, is like we're learning and evolving ourselves,
Yeah.
And from that place, that like evolved, enlightened place, it's unbecoming to look at people who have not yet arrived there and be like, "Ugh, well, what, you don't know? Like you don't, you think this, you know?"
You still believe
Um,
that?
yeah. And so her
Yeah.
whole thing is like having grace and helping people in their evolution by not creating that hostility, you know, like you're not evolving at the same rate as me. That doesn't mean that they won't ever evolve. You know, they might just
Mhm.
be at the very, very beginning of their story.
And they may never change, and that's okay. Like that,
Yeah,
I guess
that's
the
true.
beauty of deconstruction for me, probably one of the most freeing things, is that I don't feel like I have to save the world anymore. I just feel
Oh,
like I get
amen.
to love the world. I just get to love
Mm,
you. I don't, it doesn't matter. I don't need you to believe just like me. I'm not afraid for your soul. I just, the freedom that that gives me to be able to connect with other human beings is beyond anything I could have ever even expected. Like I never
mm,
even knew this could be possible. Because
mhm.
if you didn't believe like me, you were going to hell. And if I didn't tell you that you were going to hell and how you could get out of it, then your blood would be on my hands if you
Right.
never, like, okay, no pressure,
Yeah. Wow.
but like, how do you have a genuine connection with that human being when
Hmm.
they're nothing but a project to you to
Right.
fix?
It's coercive. It's manipulative, you know?
And it's prideful. It's like
It
I'm right,
is.
you're wrong. And but
Totally.
you don't see it when you're in it. So I
Hmm.
understand why people feel the way they feel. Like, but I think I'm so thankful to have had that season of my life because I get
Mm.
how easy it is to fall into that and
Yeah.
to be so comfortable and feel so safe um until one day you're like, am I though?
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
it would the undercurrent, the thing that's baked into the theology I was raised in was fear,
Hmm.
like fear of God, fear of hell, fear of Satan, fear, you know, uh,
Yeah.
all of it, it was just so much fear. And so that when I finally like woke up to that was when I got the guts to say it publicly and walk away. But I think I was afraid to speak out, Lauren.
Mm. Oh, I mean, I can't imagine because you had a platform with a capital P.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that is like. I mean, just I'm just talking to my mom, you know what I mean? You're talking to the whole world.
Well, and I was such a strong Christian. Like I preached the gospel, as I was taught it. I was very, very passionate about saving people. And so when
Mhm.
that changes, like I could have just done it quietly and just, you know, but like you, I think there's this sense of I just need to be myself. I need to be who I am. And that's what I love about you. And I'm sure I haven't had a chance to read your book yet, but I can't wait to read it because I know the insights that I heard even just on that podcast we were on together. By the way, guys, go listen to it. It's pretty good. Um, it's called Heretic Happy Hour, and it was just a few weeks
Mhm.
ago. And I was just so struck by your I don't even know if I can explain it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a
Mhm.
presence that feels very steady and very
Oh.
sure of who you are, which is a very difficult thing to get to in
Mm.
deconstruction. How did
Mhm.
you get there? How are you in this
Gosh.
place of feeling like this is who I am and I'm good with it?
Mm. Well, thank you. Those are very kind words, and I just feel like I have you fooled because I certainly don't I don't feel that way. You know, there are definitely times when I feel unmoored. You know, that's the word that I use
Still,
because
yeah,
if you watch a boat that's unmoored, it's just yeah, like it can drift anywhere, and yeah, it's a scary place to be. I think I don't know. It's an evolving thing. I'm
it
I'm very
is.
flattered though, but thank you for
Oh
those
well,
words.
no, I mean it. I just felt it's very difficult to get to that place of, and when I say confidence, I don't mean cocky. I mean just
Mm,
your presence is calming, and that's
mm,
beautiful because I feel like a lot of times in the deconstruction space, people get angry and they kind of get stuck in that.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't sense that from you. I don't sense that
Mm.
at all. I feel like you've probably had your days. We
Oh,
all have.
definitely. Yeah, and honestly, like, speaking as a woman from the
Yeah,
South of America, I am not comfortable sitting with anger, and that was
yeah.
something that I think kept me from getting to wherever I am now, was the inability to sit and just not try to control, or like I was mentioning, like not trying to rush through that anger, but just sitting. And now like I have my launch team, and I asked them last night, like, think about the moments your anger burned the brightest. Now embody that anger in a person, sit them down, buy them coffee. What is it that they would tell you? What is it that that anger would tell you? And for me, when I went through that practice, I realized that I realized my anger was grief. My anger was really this reaction of like a self-awareness, like what happened to you was unfair. What happened to you was wrong. What happened to you was not the way that it was supposed to be. And accepting that and sitting with that was very critical to me being able to heal and grieve that loss of that.
Yeah, I mean, anger it's literally one of the phases of grief. And I think it takes a lot of people by surprise, because, we are told, not to be angry, even though we kind of were angry. Like if people didn't believe like we did, it made us angry, but it was at Satan. It wasn't at the person, you know what I mean? But it doesn't come across that way. But yeah, getting to that place of peace that I sense in you in this journey, it's a process.
Totally.
So tell me a little bit, like, how do you hope that your story helps someone else who might be on a deconstruction journey?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. So I deconstructed while working for a ministry. So I was deep in the belly of the whale.
Ooh, girl.
Yeah, and there's a moment in my book where I talk about being, this is an international ministry. That's one of the reasons why I was in India so often. And there's a moment where I am working for this ministry. We're on the ground with blind believers, visually challenged believers, and we're handing out these Bibles that they're able to access. And I just remember because they're audio Bibles, so they turned them all on, and all around the room is just, in the beginning, God created the head. In the beginning, God created, like in the beginning, as they're all turning on. And so I'm like standing there in a cloud of in the beginnings, and it's talking about how God created this and God loved it and God called it good. And I just remember feeling like, I don't believe this. I don't think I believe this anymore. It seems like it's too good to be true. So I think that sensation is not isolated in me. And that's why I wrote this book, was because I think that there are as a host of other people out there who are they're showing up and they're going through the motions and they're just white knuckling it. And they're in the dead of night, they've got these questions. And so I wrote this book because I wanted them to feel like they were not alone. They were not broken. They were not, the scourge of the faith or something like that. That this is a highly, highly normal, and I would actually say very healthy thing to go through in your spirituality.
I love that. And you're right. And I think we forget how healthy this is. When you address these things that you're like, I've been questioning, but I've been stuffing it. And you start to finally, and so, okay, when you heard in the beginning and you said, I don't know that I believe this anymore, what did you do? How did you walk through that? That's a big one.
Yeah, that was big. In the moment, I pulled away. I went outside. I played with the kids that were, because it was just, the grownups are in church. The kids are outside having fun, and there were puppies. There's street dogs in India, so there's puppies out there. And I'm like, this is where I want to be. I want to be outside with the kids and the dogs.
Yeah.
So in the moment, that's what I did. But I mean, you have to continue, like at some point you go back in, if you're working for a ministry, you have to go back, you have to show back up on Sunday morning. And so I totally resonated with that. And, the like a street dog, the questions follow you, So yeah. And I'm still sorting through stuff,
I do think it's lifelong. I really do. Oh, my dogs. Sorry. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I do think this is a lifelong process of unveiling and just becoming. And it's not as, I think initially, were you scared or were you afraid? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
It got easier as you went, right?
It did. Yes. So initially it felt like panic. It felt like, like I was just obsessed with these like nihilistic thoughts, because if God did not create, you say the if then statements and you're left with nothing. And in my post-traumatic healing, like I was loath to recognize the beauty in the world anyway. So I was kind of on my back foot anyway, as I went into this. And that's one of the beautiful things about India, is that it is, it's full of connection. You can't avoid connection with people there. The way that they will hold eye contact, the way that they will like physically touch you, not in like a creepy way, but it's just, there's a, you know, a personal boundary, like a differentiator with them. Like
yeah.
it's just different. Yeah. So it's very hard to keep in this like walled off bubble where you're just in your despair all the time when you're in India. So there was like a paradox there, because I was in deep despair, but also I was being touched by these very abrasive hands, but they were also very loving, and they were very welcoming. And it was a beautiful thing that I'm blessed to have experienced.
When you said abrasive, I immediately thought about sandpaper and how it like smooths the rough edges. Maybe
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like sandpaper people.
Yeah. And it hurts, and, you know,
Yeah.
it's like an exfoliant, you know, like it hurts and it's
Yeah.
kind of painful, and it leaves you kind of vulnerable on the tail end of it. But at the same time, like it can be such a healing thing when you get it at the right time.
Oh yeah. And so you're working in a ministry, you're in India, you're realizing that you're kind of on your back foot, like you're ready to
Mm-hmm.
start to ask these questions. What did you do from that point? Like being in a ministry, whew, that's your paycheck, you know, along
Yes.
with your calling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you handle that?
Yeah, I stuck it out for a while, but at the end of the book, you know, it's not a spoiler, but at the end of the book, I do leave, um, you know, and it was good for the time that I was supposed to be there, but it became very apparent to me, for lots of reasons, but one of which was that, in order to continue whatever the spiritual growth path that I'm on, I needed to not be in a structure like that.
Mm, that is very hard to do. Whew.
Totally.
Like
Yes.
I'm having flashbacks.
This was also, just to set the scene, this was in the heart of 2020, in the heart of the pandemic. My husband and I don't write about this in the book, but this is like a fun Easter egg, because at the same time, my husband and I realized that we were probably not going to be able to have kids. So we started fostering kids, in our house. And so there was a lot happening, on the peripherals of this. But yeah, in light of all of that, I realized, like, yeah, love is to be found elsewhere. And that's where I kind of need to run right now.
So you ran towards love.
Yeah.
I hear that literally all the time. I just wanted to love people more. I wanted to love them without fear. I wanted to love them without an agenda. I hear it
Yes.
every day. Clients, people I interview. I mean, it's insane how many people leave because of love. And yet, I don't know, like the way it's received from some of the people that we walk away from is that it's deception. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
of course I understand why they feel that way. I've been there. I used to feel that way about people too. I remember the first time I heard about Rhett and Link. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, oh, those poor men, they are so deceived, you know? So I get it. I know that feeling, but I also know things can change, you know?
Yeah.
So was
For sure.
writing your book, was that like helpful to you in this journey? Was it like to me, when I wrote my book, it was like therapy. It was better than therapy. I don't know. It like helped me to understand my story better too. Do you feel that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you feel like you were sitting down with this past version of
Yes.
yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is exactly. I mean, it was like I was having a funeral for her.
Wow.
But initially, I say this in my book. Initially, I was, you know, stomping on her grave. I was pissed. I just was so angry at everybody and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But by the end of the book, I was leaving her flowers and thankful for what she taught me about. Listen, you know, the one thing Sister Christian taught me, that's what I named her. Well, it's actually what I was called on Survivor, and it kind of just pulled in. But you know, the one thing that she really taught me was that don't give up on trying to find the thing that you can find if you look hard enough.
Mm.
I would have never guessed that I would have to bury her in the process. I thought I was her.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, that was something.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can totally resonate with that. Yeah, I very much felt similar. I felt like this was a past version of myself that I had so much compassion for. And at the end of the last chapter of my book, a significant portion of it is me talking to her directly, you know, to this person that, you know, from my vantage point now, I could see was so broken and was so fearful and was so yeah, just untethered, and I have so much compassion for her, and at the same time, you know, I have appreciation for the ways that I grew where I needed to grow, and I left behind what I needed to leave behind, and all of that. You can hold both of those things. You know, you can have the compassion for who you used to be, and you can also say this is worthy of burial now.
Yeah, it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
Do you have your book with you?
I do, yeah.
Would you read just a little bit from that chapter where you're
Yes.
talking to yourself?
I would love to, yes.
Let's story time, guys. Because that sounds beautiful and I would love to celebrate it with you.
Okay, this is great. Every year on the anniversary of the breaking, the air in my house feels a little thinner than usual, time a little more translucent. I sit in the spaces of my home where years ago a shattered young woman wept for the loss of a future she'd hoped to have, where the fabric of her spirit was rent, where her faith crumbled to ash in her hands, and where she got only silence in response. You're gonna make me cry. Oh,
it's okay.
I can almost hear her. She's still there somewhere inside me. She'll always be there, but I wish I could reach through time, take her face in my hands, and tell her how this story was going to end. This is what I would tell her. You are in a deep pit, but you will not be here forever. It's hard in that moment to believe that, but you will rise up off this floor. You'll do the hard, painful work to cauterize that wound that is threatening to bleed you out. And yes, it will burn like hell and you will scream. Scream, baby. Through gritted teeth and anger and anguish, scream until your throat is raw with the injustice of it. When the smoke clears and your lungs finally give out, you'll wipe your eyes, you'll stand up, and you'll live. Something magical will happen to you in the years after this crushing blow. It will bloom through your overwhelming pain, your surging panic, your crushing despair. In time, you will see that while you were pressed to the ground, white-knuckled, barely breathing, you became the person you were always meant to be.
That's beautiful. You got me crying now.
I know. It's a lot.
So how did that, I mean, clearly it brought some emotion out. How are you feeling when you read that now?
Yeah, it still elicits response. And I think that's that girl that's still in there, you know, like there's still some parts of me that still struggles to believe those words. And I think that this is a cycle, that this process is a cycle. And there are some times when I dip back down into the despair and I dip back down into the, you know, this is too good to be true, that there's no spiritual aspects to this world, that it's just pain and then you die. You know, and I sit with that when I need to, but then I have to remember, you know, the connection that I found in India, and connection with people like you, and connection with, you know, my dog. And there's all these things that pull back and say, no, there is beauty still. There is something here that you can't put your finger on it. And that's kind of the point.
Yeah, so true. So let's talk about today. Like, what are you curious about now? What are you exploring? What's the big question, or you were always on a treasure hunt. So
Totally.
What are you exploring right now?
Oh gosh, I'm exploring everything. I feel like I feel like someone took the leash off, you know, and I get to play. So I'm exploring everything. Right now, I feel like because I'm in this life part of the life death life cycle, as Clarissa Pinkola Estes talks about in her book. I'm in this season of abundance, this like springtime of the soul, and I love that. And I feel like in that I have capacity to hold the wounds and the sorrows of other people, because I'm full. I've got fuel right now. So I'm looking hard at uncomfortable things. My husband was born in Israel. We both are looking very hard at what is our role to play in supporting, people who are being, I will use the word genocide. There is a genocide happening across the ocean. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at, I just met this past week a pastor who has a church close to the border wall, and every Sunday he gives communion through the border wall with tortillas and grape juice. And so I'm looking at, well, is there a part for me to play here? How can I support this good work of all of these people that are doing amazing things? So there's a very practical aspect right now to my spirituality and to the things that I'm exploring. But I want to ask you the same question. Where are you exploring right now?
Again, everything. I think it's funny, as you were saying, like I'm free. I no longer tied up. It reminded me of my dog. We used to have a dog named Buddy, and he was so sweet, but we didn't have a fence in the backyard. So when we would put him out back, if we were going somewhere or whatever, we would have to put him on a chain. And I always hated doing that, but he would just go. And there was like this semicircle that he would just like go back and forth, right? Well, we finally get a fence, but he would not go past where that semicircle was, because he was so used to being confined. And I thought, I just wanted to go, be free. You can be free. You know what I mean? And
go run.
Yeah, go run, buddy. You got this. But yeah, that feeling of what do I even like? I think right now my biggest thing that I'm exploring, well, I haven't said this publicly yet, but I'm working on a documentary. It's a docuseries. I'm not sure if I'm going to like try to get it public or whatever, but like, and it's about it's just the dark side of belief. It's called Sacred Wounds. And it's about the dark side of belief and how when we think that, God has put his stamp of approval on what we believe, and it's the only way, how it affects our society. And so, just talking about things like LGBTQ, talking about the psychology of belief. Why do people believe what they believe? When you start to understand that, Lauren, like that to me right now is my passion. Wow. If I could go back to school, I'm like 56 years old. I don't think I'm going to go back to school, but if I could, and maybe I will, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would explore sociology and religion, because I think if we could just understand why people believe what they believe, maybe we wouldn't be so angry. Maybe we wouldn't be trying to, it's kind of like you going to India. When you were there, was it hard for you to say, wait, these people seem pretty freaking happy. Why am I trying to change them to believe what I believe when what they believe seems to be working?
Yeah. Yeah. Or even, the question that I often had with these are people who have leprosy, which is a curable disease. Why are we here talking about, this sounds, I love him, Jesus. I'm sorry, but why are we talking about Jesus when we could be here doing something like that actually impacts the good of people? Yes.
Because we didn't look at, and this is part of the psychology of it. We never looked at what was good for now, Lauren. It was always about eternity. It was, I remember praying for my kids to be miserable until they found their peace in God. Like, I don't want you to be happy. I don't want you to have a good life, because unless you're following Jesus, you're going to die and go to hell. It was all about the top of the mountain, and it had nothing to do with the journey of getting there. And I think, so that's kind of what I'm exploring right now. It's just like trying to find stories. I may even be asking you, Lauren, if you might want to be a guest on it.
Sure.
I'm looking for people that I connect with who I know have had a journey that they're willing to share publicly about deconstruction and the psychology of belief and how it has affected our society.
Yeah,
what I'm
I
in.
love that. I'm so excited for that. Yes,
Yeah.
of course, if I can help in any way, even to support, I would totally be down with that. Have you read the book Righteous Mind?
No. Let me
Oh,
write
you
that
would
down.
dig it. Now that I
Okay.
know that you're also like you have a little bit of a nerdy streak, I
Oh,
can
yes. Big
talking about
time.
the
I
okay,
could talk
so
about theology and sociology, and I think it helps me to be more loving, Lauren, because I
yes.
don't take it so freaking personally when people see the world different. Instead of
Yes.
being afraid of their views, I want to learn from them. You're in my
Mhm.
life for a reason. Like, share your journey with me. I want to hear, what was it like, the good, the bad, the ugly, like, and
Mhm.
why do you believe what you believe? And when somebody sits down and listens to why, 9 times out of 10, they walk away going, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Even if I don't agree,
Even if
I
I don't
understand.
agree, I
Mhm.
understand. And it's just, I just, every war is
Yeah.
because somebody thinks they're right and somebody's
Mhm.
wrong.
Yeah.
Everything that's happened, all the hate, all the
Mhm.
division, all the us versus them, it all starts when you think you are better and know
Yeah.
more than someone else,
Right.
and that your truth is the truth.
Mhm.
And if we are honest, Lauren, nobody knows the truth.
So, yeah, absolutely.
It,
100%.
the only truth that I really know is that if you follow love, wherever that leads, you can't go wrong.
Yeah,
It,
I totally agree. There's no regret on the other side of that choice.
yeah. How could there
Mhm.
be? I followed
Mhm.
love. And literally, I'm to the point now, sometimes people are like, well, what if you die and you're facing God and you realize you're all wrong? That if I die and I face God, I'm going to say, I followed love. I tried to love people. And if that was not enough, then I get it. Send me to hell. Like, if that's the
Right.
thing, but I just
Right.
don't see it now that I've chased love. I can't see that love would ever be that kind of, like
Yeah.
angry, um, cruel God.
Mhm.
There's nothing redemptive about hell.
Right.
It's not like you go there and you're like, oh, now I get it. It's
Yeah.
like forever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, how is that a loving thing to do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Uh,
definitely, these are questions worth asking for sure. And it's scary because, what I hear from a lot of like my evangelical friends
mhm.
or people online that have a problem with a deconstructed spirituality. But when you take away hell and you take away that punishment, people oftentimes cannot understand Jesus. They're like,
Mhm.
so then what's the point? What did he die for? And I'm like, you are so royally missing the point of 33 years of this
Yes.
man's life,
Yeah.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of other arguments that I could bring up to it, but that's the one that I'm like, that I always come back to is like, you baby, you have missed,
Yeah.
you have lost the plot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, wake up. Like,
Hmm.
his message was so much bigger than that. Like, so
Yes.
much bigger than that. But I
Hmm.
don't know. I just,
Yeah.
oh, see what I mean? I could talk about this stuff all day, but now I have to go get that book, Righteous Mind, because that sounds
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Maybe
That
that author
subtitle,
would want to be in my documentary.
he's great. Yes, he's a morality researcher, I believe is what his
Mm,
title is. And the whole book, I think the subtitle is Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion, something like that.
mm,
And it was so enlightening for me because exactly like you're saying, when you understand the brain structure, the mentality of people, it makes it so much easier to have grace and understanding for them, you know?
absolutely. And to make
Yeah.
room for them, to make space for them, to hold space for them. Like,
Hmm.
oh, it's changed my life in so many great ways. And I don't know how else, I'm like, I just want to share this with the world. It's
Yeah.
just, I am an evangelist. It's what I do. But I
Hmm.
think my message is now more freedom than it
Right.
is, like, if you don't believe this, you're going to go to hell.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
think I
Yeah.
think my evangelistic self is still there. But now and it's not that I want to pluck people away from their religion. It's not that I
Right.
want to pull you away from what you believe ever, but I do want to give you a safe space if you find yourself asking questions. you know, and
Mhm.
I feel like you're providing that space as well. Now you have a Substack too, right, Lauren?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just my first and last name.substack.com. It's called The Rest of Us. So it's a place for
Mm.
people who are just kind of spiritually homeless. What I tend to attract are people who have been Jesus people to some extent, and maybe kind of are, maybe aren't. We're
Yeah.
just kind of all hanging out and just not knowing together.
Well, that sounds beautiful. It sounds like a safe space to hang out and ask questions and just be real, you know,
Yes, the
authenticity.
coolest,
Ooh.
the best people on the internet are over there.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
biased, but
Okay. Well, I'll put a link in the show notes because that sounds amazing. Is there anything you want to leave with my listeners? These precious people that listen, and many of them are invisibles. I call them the people who
mm,
are afraid to let people know that they're even listening to this podcast or asking these questions, but they're just starting out. What would you want to leave with them?
oh, I love those people so much. I
Me
was I
too.
was one for so long, so I
Same.
understand. Yeah, I get the fear, and I get the like feeling like you don't really belong anywhere. I get that
Mhm.
feeling. I would definitely tell them, this goes without saying, but obviously you're not alone. You're in a host of wanderers and wanderers, and we're all just, you don't have to have, uh, an answer on the other side of this. Like we talked about at the beginning, this addiction to certainty it's suffocating us. So let go of that is what I would say, and just experience what comes.
And don't be afraid. Like let the
Yeah,
fear go. There's no fear in
yeah,
perfect love. Perfect
right.
love casts out fear. Fear has to do with
Hmm.
punishment. That's not it's to me that I mean that's the scripture that pulled me away from the things I believed for so
Mm,
long. And
that's a good one.
yeah, I was like, wait, so
Yeah.
what have I been experiencing then? Because I'm afraid of everything. You know,
Uh-huh.
all my journal entries from those days, Lauren, were like, I am such a wretch. I am, you know, I can't
Oh,
even believe God would even, you know, bless me with anything. Like I had zero confidence in myself. I
mm,
had zero belief in myself. I was afraid my kids were going to go to hell. I was afraid everybody, you know, I was afraid. And yeah, let it go and just lean
yeah.
into it. Like Lauren said, trust the process.
Hmm.
It's going to keep happening. Like it doesn't end. It's not like, whoop, I'm
Yeah.
deconstructed now. All right, moving
No.
on.
Yes. I feel like it's a cycle. And this is
It
like a
is.
soapbox. This is a soapbox I've been talking about a little bit, but like if you are a person who menstruates, you understand that
Mm-hmm.
you are filled
Cycles.
with, yeah, you're filled with life to be emptied of it, to be filled with it, to be emptied of it. And so there's a cyclical nature to all things, to life. And so
Mm.
don't be afraid when you see it in your spirituality as well.
Ooh, Lauren, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think of anything better to leave them with today. So thank you for that. And thank you for allowing us to honor your journey today. It was beautiful. I love your insights. And if you want to get her book, I'm going to put a link to Tiger in a Lifeboat. And I encourage you to go check out her Substack, maybe find some community there and some connection, the two things that I think are so sorely lacking in the deconstruction community. Well, I think person to person, one on one is very, very difficult, but like
Mm.
online, there's so many great options. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today, Lauren.
Thank you so, so much, Leslie. It's been a pleasure.